Who actually pays the real estate commission? The answer might surprise you. It's actually the buyer, not the seller, that pays the commission. I ask real estate agents and consumers who actually pays the real estate commission, and the answer I consistently get is that the seller pays the commission. Truth is, it's actually the buyer that pays it. And before you dismiss this premise, please consider the information I want to share with you. I know your immediate reaction may be that my hypothesis is incorrect. Therefore, I believe history can teach us a lesson here. The world is not flat, right? We have been living with the fallacy that the seller pays the commission ever since the report of the first cave sale by prehistoric man, when the cave owner handed over 2 bones and a shiny rock for the selling agent's services. The seller does designate the total amount of commission to be paid when you list your home for sale. There's no argument there. However, you are simply setting the marketing and advertising budget, which are commissions, that cover the realtor professional services portion of selling your home. You're agreeing up front how much cost you're willing to spend for an agent or agents to sell your home. That commission cost is built into the total sale price. In a regular real estate transaction, the commissions paid are part of the total sales price of the home, creating a condition similar to wholesale versus retail pricing. The wholesale price is the true value of the home without the commission expense. The retail price, also known as the total sales price of the home, includes the marketing and advertising cost, commissions. Think of that pair of shoes you wanted at Nordstrom. Did you pay wholesale or retail? Clearly, it was retail. Was the marketing and advertising cost rolled up in the total price of the shoes? Of course it was. You can't buy the shoes wholesale at Nordstrom. You pay for the cost of the good itself, what Mr. Nordstrom paid for it, plus the marketing, advertising, salesperson, store lighting, and the grand piano player too. So the same theory applies in real estate. The buyer just pays the one retail price with commissions built in. And since the selling price of any residential home is a function of actual value of the home plus commission, the buyer is paying for all the commission monies. No other money enters the transaction, especially from the seller. So how can you, the seller, pay the commission for money you never see? The value of the home plus commissions is generally never separated. You can't buy a home wholesale unless you are a sophisticated shark investor. Now, please understand that not only is the buyer paying the commission, they're oftentimes paying it for up to 30 years as it's part of the purchase price and therefore often financed. So, as a checkpoint, has the seller paid any commissions here? Nope. I see the buyer paying the commissions for 30 years with interest. So the seller sets the commission, but you never see any part of that big chunk of marketing and advertising money from the buyer via the purchase price paid. True, it hits the seller's side of the balance, the settlement sheet, if only for a nanosecond, but that is so the buyer can finance it. The escrow company never disperses the amount of the commission to the seller to divvy up amongst the brokers or agents involved. Instead, escrow immediately disperses that same amount of buyer paid money directly to the realtors involved. The seller never really sees any of that money. It is siphoned off the top of any amount owed to the seller. So it's the net price after commissions and escrow expenses. So how could the seller possibly be paying the commissions, right? With what money? If the escrow company gave all the money to the seller and then the seller dispersed the commission to the brokers or agents at their discretion, it would be different. However, that doesn't happen. The seller only sees their net proceeds. What about the appraisal? Does the appraisal value, the price, include the cost of the commissions? The answer is, of course, yes. It is equal to the total sale price, the retail price, the buyer is looking to finance. Therefore, the bank acknowledges and confirms that the appraisal value includes the commission since it's rolled up into the total sales price of the home. The bank knows that the buyer is paying the commission since they are giving the buyer a loan that covers the total cost of the home, including the commission. The bank understands that the buyer pays the commission. Do you? I hope so. So before your head explodes, consider this. Real estate investors, the real ones that we're going to call sharks, fully understand the buyer pays the commission or not. For example, sophisticated investors know that for sale by owner properties are usually just trying to save on commission. What the sharks see when they view a FSBO a for sale by owner yard sign, is a neon beacon that begs, start the offer price at a 6% discount because that is what I, a for sale by owner, am trying to save. So therefore the shark looks for all the investment properties from a wholesale perspective. They know that as the buyer, they would be paying a commission if retail priced. And since there are no costs like marketing, advertising, and professional real estate services, and then the negotiation on the for sale by owner seller side, they know how to start their offers at a wholesale price, the inferred 6% that the seller is attempting to save, right? Of course, they will make an offer much lower than that. Some would label it as a lowball offer, and that's what it appears to be. Start at wholesale price and then bargain on the price further. Sophisticated investors know that once they do buy a home at wholesale, fix it up, and place it on the market again, they do need an agent to market the home and get the widest selling exposure for top dollar. That's why most investors don't mind using an agent on the selling side. They get it, that the buyer is paying the commission and they build that into the sales price. Consider closing costs. Are all of the costs, escrow, title, transfer tax, etc., associated with the full sales price of the home? Well, the answer is clearly yes. So, wait for it. Now the buyer is paying fees on top of the commission they're paying, right? Unfortunately, so is the seller. So remember, the total price of the home includes commission to start. All the escrow fees are figured out on the full price of the home, which includes the commission. So as an example, we have a sale price of a home of $1 million, okay? Commission is 6%, which is built into that million. The commission is transparent to the buyer since it is included in the sale price and financed. All fees are then based on $1 million, escrow, title, transfer, etc. Therefore, the buyer is paying fees on top of the commission they paid for the home, where the real value of the home is actually 6% less. You follow? So to bring this point home, the actual value of the home, $1 million minus the commission of 6%, is really $940,000, okay? Since the buyer usually can't separate actual home cost and commissions and cut a check to escrow for $60,000 to cover the commissions and another one for the value of the home, $940,000, they actually pay for costs associated with paying the commission. There are one-off cases where this two-check process can be achieved and money can be saved, specifically an all-cash, non-contingent buyer and willing participants. But why is this important? If you are trying to save on commission, by selling your home on your own, the buyer is the one actually paying. So why put yourself through all of the headache and significant legal exposure? Leave it to a real estate professional like me. We'll factor the sales and marketing expense into your sale price to get the best results. You will generally net the same amount or more and sell quicker. Let's discuss it further, as I absolutely know I can help. I have appointments at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. daily. Give me a call, 805-235-4499, or send me an email to Kristie@KristieCarter.com, and I look forward to talking to you.